Hey guys, a few things I want to share with you today. One, thank you very much for all of you who have been praying for our schools here in our valley, specifically Battle Mountain High School. A lot of our kids, a lot of our youth here at the church go to Battle Mountain, as well as we have some teachers from Battle Mountain that are part of our church. And as you've probably read in the papers, there were some threats made at the school and there's security there now. So let's continue really to pray for the safety of our schools here in the valley as we close out the school year in the coming weeks. Some of you gathered together on Wednesday evening, I believe. They're at just right across the street from the school and had a time of prayer. Multiple churches in the valley actually were represented at that, and I just want to thank Nikki for taking the initiative to put that time of prayer together just right across the street from the school. So let's continue to pray for the safety, again, just the peace, the courage of our school community that is so vital to us and that we as a church are very, very strongly connected to. Also, on a very, very positive note, and I think you probably got the email that was sent out 2 days ago now. Congratulations to Matt and Allison, to Pastor Matt, and the arrival of Thayer Donovan, healthy baby boy. Super excited about that. An awesome thing. I want to talk to you really quickly about this Sunday. Last week, I opened the door in the message that I gave into this topic, and I guess one general way to put it is how we appropriately, or to what extent do we use the lens, the interpretational lens of cultural context, societal and cultural context, and how we interpret and really get at the principle of what Scripture is saying to us in Scripture, where the topic of the given passage of Scripture really focuses on how we live as Christians in the midst of the culture around us. It's kind of a mouthful, but it's a very, very important topic. If you missed last Sunday, man, I encourage you to listen to my message. And because I covered a lot of ground, kind of did like a little mini seminary day, talking about how we interpret Scripture, how we approach Scripture. And this Sunday, the reason I covered that, kind of laid that foundation and covered that ground, is going to become clear as we dive into what I think is one of the most misunderstood overall topics in the New Testament. In my little paragraph I have below here, I mentioned that one of the accusations or false narratives that's levied against the church, and has been for centuries, is that Christianity somehow teaches the subversion or the diminishment of women, right? And elevates men as being superior over women, specifically in the context of marriage, of husbands being superior to wives, somehow in that marital relationship. And the truth could not be further from that. And what we're going to do is taking this idea of how we look at Scripture through the lens of the cultural context, we're going to see how 1 Peter chapter 3, the first 7 verses of 1 Peter chapter 3, which often are used by people, and very unfortunately sometimes people within the church, to push this idea that somehow men are spiritually superior to women. In fact, that passage from Peter teaches the opposite. The title of my message is Equal Rights in the New Testament. And in a culture in the first century that was radically unequal, like where inequality was part of virtually every strata of society, the church, and what Peter wrote in the gospel ultimately, stood and shone as a beacon of equality and liberty in the midst of that environment, as it does today. But we have to understand that, what that culture was, what was going on in that time, so we don't miss the greater principle that Peter is showing us here, and that other similar passages in Scripture are pointing us to when we read statements such as, "Wives, be submissive to your husbands." There's more going on here than that statement. And again, far from being something that pushes women down, which Scripture never does, okay? It not only elevates women to an equal par with men in the church, in every aspect of who we are as believers, but it elevates us both as men and women, as husband and wives, to a whole new level of calling in how we relate to this culture around us. So this is a big topic. I'm going to work really hard to have it in my time frame. But I hope that you're here. Again, if you missed Sunday, I encourage you to go back and listen to the message if you missed last Sunday, so you can have that foundation laid. And if you have any feedback for me on this, guys, I'm doing my best in my preparation, but this is a topic we don't push into very often. And if there are things that you want to push on me and talk to me about, man, I welcome that. I love having conversations with people that what I said meant enough that even if they disagree with me, they care about what truth is and they care about their own convictions in relationship to Scripture. And so at times we have to wrestle with these things. And so that's what we're going to do. Guys, it's a beautiful day here, beautiful weekend. I hope you have a great weekend, and I look forward to seeing you Sunday. God bless.